Hi, I'm R.
And I'm Jay.
And today we have something to say about freedom of speech. With the recent rise of political correctness and the social justice movement, we have seen serious challenges to freedom of speech. Censorship is at an all-time high, with major social media platforms reforming their policies on what is or isn't acceptable in order to conform with the rise of the social justice movement. In a free market, we cannot and should not expect a private company such as Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube to be a completely open platform catering to our personal ideologies. However, given the enormity of these platforms, which now exist as the primary mode of discourse and allows the interconnectivity of millions of people and perspectives across the globe on a daily basis, there exists an ethical responsibility for these private organizations to uphold the virtues of freedom of expression and the diversity of ideas. When an individual or select group are given the power of censorship over these platforms, they find themselves in a position of authority and power over public discourse. Anyone who values free speech understands the need to separate any one person's perspective from the censorship of information. When another person can dictate to you what you can say, watch, or listen to, then the intellectual development of society is lost. Ideas rise and fall based on their ability to overcome opposing ideas. Many of the ideas we value as a society now were the minority opinion at some point in history. These ideas grew because the minority managed to pit their ideas against the standard beliefs at that point in time. When you have an authority which is able to remove any opposing ideas which challenge the ones they deem correct, then the authority of censorship becomes the authority of progress.
The assault on freedom of speech isn't just limited to the censorship within social media platforms. We are also seeing a rise in censorship among university campuses and workplaces as a result of PC culture, with students bullied into intellectual conformity and workplaces terminating employees on threats of public outrage. It's easy to see how ideas can be controlled through fear and intimidation. Whilst there may be no laws explicitly forbidding these intimidation tactics, it is the responsibility of all members of a free society to preserve the values of that free society. It must be remembered that it is hard to see when you are wrong, and if everyone else is censored so you can't hear dissenting opinions, then it's even harder to know if you are wrong. If there is an equal playing ground and you are right, your ideas will rise to the top. There is no need to strong-arm anyone. Whilst opposing ideas may be offending to someone, that does not give that person the right to remove those ideas from public discourse through censorship. Criticism of ideas, not intimidation, should be the only way to change the views of others, and that applies to everyone. Even if you say something we disagree with, we will fight for your right to say it, and you should do the same for everyone else. That ensures that while public discourse might be messy, it will be truly free and conducive to the progress of mankind. We aren't the only people who value free speech. We asked some other YouTubers to quickly outline why they value free speech, so let's hear what they have to say.
Freedom of speech matters because without it we would not be able to criticize what is socially accepted as fact. What is speech but an extension of thought, harmless unless acted upon? And when did we get into the business of punishing for thought crime? Without this inalienable right, any ability you once had to present leveled criticism, satire, or even a dissenting opinion from the popular narrative is stripped away. Without it, you are silenced.
Hi, Dark Ram here, and some people have the silly idea that all I care about is tailored suits, fine women, and various intoxicants.
But that's exactly what you told me.
I also care immensely about free speech. Because let's face it, it's impossible for us to advance as a human race without the right to be able to stand up and say, I disagree, this is wrong, prove it, or the good old-fashioned, that's some bullshit.
Hello, I'm Reverend JR, and I support free speech because I believe you ought to be able to say whatever you want, and I ought to be able to tell you it's stupid if I so desire, because that's simply me saying what I want. If you disagree with this, then I would like to know how you would propose to tell me.
Are you kidding me? Freedom of speech? Who would ever want that? Seriously, the best places on earth are completely free of freedom of speech. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, North Korea, Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, Fascist Italy. Being free of freedom of speech is so beautiful that even Turkey joined in. I mean, imagine for a moment the horror a country like Canada would face if instead of fining a comedian $42,000 for cracking a joke, they would label it as freedom of speech. But it gets even worse. Imagine you would have to have an opinion and not just get a nice pamphlet from the government. How much work? Who would ever want that? I mean, sure, the government doesn't always say the truth. I mean, usually it doesn't say the truth whatsoever. But still, the effort.
If you're not allowed to express an unpopular opinion, then what's the point in expressing a popular one?
Freedom of speech is having the ability to express your ideas and opinions without fear of censorship. This is essential in any free society to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity to argue what they think. Because of this, bad ideas will always be shut down due to the facts being on the side of truth. There are many people who will claim that certain ideas should be censored because they are hateful, but if you can censor someone because you disagree with them, then what's stopping someone else from censoring you?
Freedom of speech is one of our most precious rights. We must never give it away or allow anyone to take it from us. On the matter of freedom of speech, I would have to agree with the late great speaker Christopher Hitchens. When you stifle freedom of speech and the free and open exchange of ideas, you rob not only the speaker of their right to speak, but of the listener of their right to hear. In turn, you rob the individual of their right to decide for themselves what it is they think about what is being said.
To me, free speech is the most important of all human rights. And as we've seen recently, that human right doesn't extend to private corporations like Twitter or Facebook, the primary platforms through which we communicate as a society. If we can't talk about things that are controversial, how could we ever work through the controversy? Like him or hate him, Noam Chomsky famously said, if we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all.
Thanks for watching. Special thanks to all the people who helped make this video, and make sure to check out all of their channels. Links are in the description in order of appearance. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it around to help us raise the bar of public discourse.